Welcome to Live, Love, Engage, the podcast where we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. I am your host, Gloria Grace Rand, the insightful copywriter and founder of the L.O.V.E method. My mission is to help you stop doubting yourself so you can live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically. Namaste and welcome to a live version of Live, Love, Engage. We're recording live on Facebook today, and I am delighted to be with you. And I'm also going to invite our guest with us on the show right now. Her name is Kim Sorrelle. So welcome to Live, Love, Engage, Kim.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Well, I'm delighted to have you here, and let me tell our viewers on Facebook as well as our listeners who are listening on all the wonderful podcast platforms all about you and why I've got you on the show today. So Kim is an entrepreneur. She is a director of a humanitarian organization, speaker, writer, and author of actually 2 books. She has written a book called Cry Until You Laugh, and which is about her journey through the cancer jungle, and her newest book, which is available for pre-order, at least the paperback version anyway, and and the Kindle version too, on Amazon right now, is called L.O.V.E, and it's a year-long experiment to discover the true meaning of love, which is precisely why I wanted to have you on the show today, to be able to talk about that. So let's start off with you giving our viewers and listeners here some insight into what was it that prompted you to go on to this year-long journey, and then we'll talk about also then why you wanted to write the book later. So we'll get into that. But first off, just what prompted this journey?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which is a shocking thing. Nobody ever wants to hear those words come out of anybody's mouth. And so it was tough, and I was going through it. And 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Uh-huh. And then he passed away 6 weeks later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, and I loved that man. We had a great marriage. He was amazing, amazing guy. And after losing him, it really made me question love. You know, what is love really? What's the true meaning?
So what did you do then? What did this journey look like, I guess, is when you say you went on a year-long journey? Did you go somewhere, or did you just start talking to people? What did that look like?
Yeah, well, I ended up wondering what I was going to do after losing my husband and getting through all of my cancer stuff. And I decided to help out this organization as being a part-time bookkeeper for them starting on January 1st, 2010. And 12 days later, there was an earthquake in Haiti that killed 200,000 people. So 2 weeks after that, I was in Haiti. And then I spent most of the next 7 years there. And so that's where I did most of my research and writing.
Oh, wow. I can't even really imagine what that circumstance would have been like. Tell us a little bit about, what was it about that experience that really touched your heart and helped you to learn about love?
You know, love is universal, right? And we can have all these preconceived notions about other people in other places. And we like to use the word they, and we like to use the word, call people by titles and group people together, when really we're all individuals, and people are people all over the world. And so even though people live differently in different places, we're all the same. We're all on the same level, and we can all relate to each other. And I learned a lot about really humanity and understanding that we're all the same.
Yeah. So I mean, if someone sees this title when they see, love is normally, or a lot of the times we're thinking about love, but um, oh, okay, there we go. You froze there for a second. But it sounds like you're talking more about a bigger definition of love, really like more about love for, I guess, brotherly love in a sense, although I don't like that patriarchal way of saying it. Can we say, I don't know, humanity love, human love, I suppose, as opposed to like relationship? Is that accurate in describing it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, certainly the things that I discovered would help with intimate relationships, but also helps with the people that you work with and the people you meet on the street or at the grocery store. So it's a love for everybody. So human love, I love that term. That's a great way to describe it.
So can you give us an example about, one specific like lesson possibly that you learned and maybe something that you tell in the book?
Yeah, sure. So I took this 2,000-year-old poem that you hear at a lot of weddings. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. And I took it one word at a time to figure out what is love that is patient? What is
Hmm.
love that is kind? Or doesn't envy. And so I learned that all those words, when you put them with love, changes the whole meaning. It's not how Noah Webster described it. It changes the whole meaning of the word. So, like, for instance, love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. I thought I thought I knew what that was. It seems pretty easy, you don't hold a grudge or whatever, and bitterness only hurts you anyway. But when I was working on that chapter, I happened to go with this group of men, 8 men from Missouri, to Haiti. They wanted to work on a water project that I was working on, that I was heading up. And I brought 2 of my Haitian friends with me to translate, also men. And we got there to where we were going to stay out in the countryside. And it was typical Haitian with the walls around the building. And the small building had 2 rooms. And there were 4 twin beds in each room. So there's 8 men from Missouri, 2 men from Haiti, and me. And so the head guy from Missouri pulled me aside. Kim, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you? I said, sure. He said, did you see the rooms? And I said, well, there's not much else to see, I'm thinking. And then I thought, oh, he's going to think I want my own room.
Hmm.
And so I'm going to say, oh gosh, I don't care if other people are sleeping in my room. And he'll go, oh, good, because, we only have so many beds and
Right.
all will be well. And so I said, oh gosh, I'll just sleep outside. And he went, oh, good, good, good. And so I thought, well, goodness. So I had to sleep outside. I found a piece of plywood to put over sort of these Haitian workhorses, and I slept underneath it on an air mattress that held air for about an hour a night. And the dogs barking and horns honking and all the things that happened. And my biggest fear was something landing on me, crawling on me, right? There's
Yeah.
snakes, whatever. And 2 different nights. So 5 nights of this. And 2 different nights I woke up because something was on me.
Ah.
And then slowly lifted my head, slowly opened my eyes. And both times it was the same thing. Both times it was a chicken.
Oh.
Ridiculous chicken woke me up. And at first I was angry, stupid chicken. But then I thought, praise the Lord, it's not a snake or a tarantula or a
Yeah.
cobra or whatever. But so anyway, so love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. So, at first I was like kind of bitter toward this guy.
Mm.
I'm thinking, I hope my sons wouldn't ever behave that way, to make me
Yeah.
sleep outside. And but then I realized love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. And what that means is the bitterness goes away. The story, I'll always remember the story, but the narrative changes. It goes from this angry, gosh, what is this man doing to me, to just this funny story that I lived through. And so it's a change of heart and change of attitude. And I have no bitterness or ill will. Yeah.
That's right. And then now you've got an interesting story to tell and to let other people make up their own minds about, how you reacted or or they can think about how they might react in a similar situation. So that's wild. Yeah, that was shocking. Well, so tell me what led you then to decide after you've been, where you were on this year-long journey, what made you decide to actually write about it?
It was so enlightening and so life changing and transformational to me that I wanted to share it with the world. I mean, I want to share it. I think it's life changing, would be life changing for anybody. And the overall biggest thing that I discovered about love is that it is complete freedom. It's total freedom. Like it releases you from being envious, from being bitter, from holding a grudge, like we talked about already, or from being impatient, or whatever you're going to be, or judgmental. Like it releases you from all of that, and it just lets people be who they are. It lets you be who you are, which then is just complete and total freedom. And all you have to do is love.
Wow. Well, that's a really good way to be, and hopefully we can emulate that. What other than the story about having to sleep outside? What was the biggest challenge you've had to face while you're during this year-long journey?
Well, Haiti is a difficult place to be. I've worked in a lot of countries around the world, and Haiti is the toughest. And it's hard. I mean, the average Haitian eats 3 meals a week. I mean, people live on less than $1 a day. It's the most impoverished country in the Western Hemisphere. It's a tough place to live. It's a tough place to work. It's a tough place to be. And so there's obstacles there that you don't run into here. You got to worry about the water. You're not going to just drink any water. You got to make sure it's the right water coming out of the right filters, and where are you going to sleep, and what are you going to eat that isn't going to make you ill, and if you're going to eat. And there's just so many challenges. The roads are challenging. The infrastructure is challenging. The government's challenging. Everything about it is challenging. I thought, man, if I can find love here, like I can figure love out here, I could figure love out anywhere.
Yeah. Now, did you find that that this experience then helped you in handling? I don't know if handling is the right word, but grieving the loss of your husband. That's, I can only imagine how difficult that could have been, especially because when we were talking a little bit beforehand, and in reading about you, it sounds like he was a amazing man. You had a really deep and abiding love for one another. So how did you navigate? There's a good word. How did you navigate the grief process?
I really think being in Haiti helped. I really think giving of myself, even though I got so much more out of every day than I could ever give, but working to help others, putting my focus on other people and away from myself, I think that made a big difference. And my husband was a great guy. He was awesome. I met him when I was 17 years old and fell madly in love as soon as I met him. And 10 days after I met him, I asked him to marry me, and he said yes. So we got married young and grew up together, and had a great relationship. And I believe in an afterlife. And so I know how faithful and wonderful my husband was. And so I know he's in a better place. And I can't begrudge that, because he did it right. He did life right. He was kind and gentle and caring, and had a huge heart, and taught me a lot about love before I even went on this journey.
Well, that's good. Do you ever feel that you're going to be able to find another love like that in the future? Do you think it's in the cards for you?
Well, the pool's pretty shallow, I have to say. The older I get, the shallower it seems to get, I guess. I think, most of the good men are taken, and then ones that aren't married maybe shouldn't. So, I've dated a little. It's been crazy. I'm horrible at it. Uh, that should be a book. Someone should teach me how to do this right. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think, it's so important to be happy alone before you can be happy with somebody else
Mm,
and be
absolutely.
healthy alone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm certainly there. So if you know anybody, feel free to introduce me, I guess. But yeah.
Well, if not, I've at least had, I think I've had some relationship coaches on the show before, so maybe I'll point you in that direction at least.
There you go.
Um, what what do you wish you had known when you started out on the process of, before you went to Haiti, before you started this journey? Is there anything?
Yes, I feel like I was a slow learner because I didn't know enough.
Mm,
It's not like you go to the store and there's a love for dummies, right? Or how to love or a manual on it. You learn how to love from your parents, from your grandparents, from other people in your life. You just kind of learn. And not everything you learn is right. And not everything you learn about love is good. And so, and I, not that I didn't have love, but I did not understand real love or a lot of things about love. Um, and if I would have gone into it a little more equipped, a little more knowledgeable about it, it would have been an easier journey, I think,
mm,
than what it ended up being.
yeah. Can you give an example about, what specifically that you didn't know about love that you wound up learning?
Yeah, well, love doesn't easily anger, right?
Mm,
Is one of the
mm,
things that it says. Well, we all get angry, right? I mean, we
yeah.
all get mad at stuff. And I had this situation where um, uh, I found out that a guy that I was paying full time to work for me was working a lot of weeks for somebody else and not getting paid by that person. But the guy that worked for me has such a huge heart that if somebody says, "Can you help me with this?" he says yes.
Mm,
So I'm paying him to work full time, thinking he's working full time. He's not. So I ended up meeting with the guy who was American and should know better in business, I believe. And so I ended up meeting with him, and I was angry, but I was trying to keep my cool. But I was mad, and he said some things that made me even angrier, like that I didn't understand. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business for years and years, and he acted like I didn't understand how business worked, how things
mm,
worked, and he said, "Oh, just you got to read this book, just." You just have to read this book and it'll tell you, more. And I'm thinking, I've probably read more business books than this man has ever seen in his lifetime, right? And then I figured out, I'm just going to get angrier, and that this is really between me and the guy that I work with, and really has nothing to do with this guy. And so I
mm.
said, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Before I blew my top, I said, it's fine. I'll deal with this. And he goes, oh, it's fine. It's fine. You sound like my wife when we're having an argument. And she says, it's fine. I'm like, oh, buddy. Holy cow. I don't know. I feel sorry for your wife right now, frankly. But anyway, uh, I got angrier than I should have and handled things not the way I should have. I never should have even talked to this guy. Like it was between me and my staff member, right?
Mm,
And so I realized that in loving you don't just blow your top, that you keep your cool, that if you really love the person you're with, and I believe you're supposed to love everybody.
mhm,
And so that guy who was maybe a little patronizing, right? I love him. I need to love him. I think at that moment I didn't necessarily love him, but I love him now. And but had I gone in with an attitude of love, it would have been a whole different story.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we haven't talked about, and I know in my journey of love and learning about love, that forgiveness plays a role in this. What have you found related to that?
Yeah, forgiveness is huge. You know, unforgiveness, the opposite side of that, only hurts you, right? Like, you might end a relationship, you might unfriend somebody on Facebook, whatever it is, but they're not really hurt by it. They're not thinking about it all the time. But forgiveness festers. It like finds a place in your heart, and it just wreaks havoc in your life. And so if you really love, it's not even about forgiving. It's about, okay, so they made a choice to do something that I didn't agree with, that I didn't necessarily like, but that's totally on them. That's their choice. And it doesn't have anything to do with me. And so it doesn't even have to get to a point of forgiving or not forgiving, but more just realizing I love that person. I don't agree with what they said or their choice, but I'm not going to hold it against them.
Yeah, that's important because you're right. It's when we are holding a grudge against someone, or whether we choose to forgive or not, it's really all about us because they've done their thing. They could care less probably. Whether they know that we were hurt by whatever they said or did anyway, it doesn't really matter. Either they understand or they don't. It's still up to us to make that decision, to choose how we want to be and going forward. So yeah. What about, have you found that gratitude plays a role in love? Have you discovered that at all?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, gratitude, I think, changes your life, right? I mean, just expressing gratitude, just every day being grateful and being grateful for something and someone, and acknowledging that is so important. And that's showing love, really.
Yeah.
It's love on a great level, where you love somebody deeply enough that you are grateful for them. And it doesn't have to be a partner or a best friend. I mean, shoot, I'm grateful for the guy that delivers my groceries, right? I mean, there's so many things to be grateful for, and there's so many people to be grateful to. I mean, there are so many lives that touch our life every single day. And if we sat down and wrote them down on paper, it would probably blow our minds, because there's so many, right? And I'm grateful for all of them. And it does change your attitude for sure. And I think it expands what you're able to give when you're grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that for sure. What impact would you like to have on planet Earth, during the rest of your lifetime that you're here? And I know a lot of people talk about legacy, but I think really just what kind of impact do you want to be able to have?
Well, I believe really strongly in this message. Like, I think that it's love that we need, especially right now. Always we need it, but especially right now. I mean, but there's political wars going on. There's people separating from each other for vaccinations or no vaccinations. I mean, silly stuff, right? That when you step back and look at it, we're all people. People are people all over the world. And we can have our own opinions, and we can believe what we want to believe. And that should not take away from how much you love somebody. you're not loving somebody for their opinion, or then it's conditional, right? Then you're loving them because you want them to fit in some box. You know, they need to do something to earn your love. Well, love shouldn't be earned. Love is a gift that you just give, and a gift you receive, and without condition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, frankly, I think the more you are able to give love, that helps you to be able to then receive that much more love in return. So it really does, it's a wonderful circle. And if we can keep showing other people that we do care about them and that we do recognize that they are people just like us. They have, you know, the same types of bones and muscles and blood cells underneath the skin, even if the skin color may be different. That we are still human beings and we do have that in common, and we do need to be able to respect one another. What are you curious about right now? Especially as we head into, you know, I realized when we were talking about gratitude before, I didn't mention that, you know, we've got Thanksgiving coming up next week, but we'll put that aside for the moment. But yeah, is there anything that you're curious about right now as you're getting ready to officially launch your book?
Yeah, you know, I'm curious. There are things I'm curious about. I'm curious about the future. I'm curious about what are we turning into, and what should we be turning into? You know, I'm curious what it's going to take for people to get back to the basics of life and get away from the politics and get away from the discord and get away from the boundaries that we're the ones that put them on a map, right? What's it going to take to get away from that stuff, to unite, to work together, to want to be together, to love each other? I'm curious what that's going to take.
Yeah. Well, so am I. And I guess all we can do is practice what you talk about in your book and practice loving, and we'll see what happens in the future. If someone wants to know more about you and find out about how to get your book and things like that, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Well, I do have a website, Kim Sorrelle. My last name has way too many letters. But I'm the only Kim Sorrelle in the world spelled this way, with 2 R's, 2 E's, 2 L's. And so kimsorrelle.com is my website. Kim@kimsorrelle.com is my email address. So I'm easy to find on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere. I'd love to connect with anybody, anytime. I'm very open, and I'm not pretentious. So I love it when people reach out, and I will reach back.
Awesome. You know, I'm going to ask you one more question. What has been your favorite part of this journey that you've been on, including not only discovering the true meaning of love, but also even writing the book? What's been your favorite part?
My favorite part has been the reaction that I've gotten from people who have read the book already. You know, the people that I would send the manuscript out to, and that's just been fun and amazing when people say that, oh gosh, this part in the book, this really changed my life, or this really touched me, or this really meant something to me. I love that. I want people to get something out of it. And so I love that.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you much success with the book. And again, if you want to be able to connect with Kim, you can go to kimsorrelle.com. And I will also have that in the show notes of the podcast as well. So thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate you sharing your story. And like I say, I wish you much success, and keep was going to say fighting the good fight, but no, how about keep loving one another and spreading your message of love in the world? Isn't it amazing the automatic expressions that come to us that are diametrically opposed to the message we want to have out?
It's so true. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Mm.
And I so appreciate you and everything that you do and the love that you spread and much more than love that you spread. And so thank you for what you do. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And I want to thank all of you for watching, those of you watching live on Facebook today, and I appreciate the hearts as well. And I want to thank those of you who are subscribed to the podcast, and I really appreciate you, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on Spotify or Good Pods, wherever. And I really appreciate you. I just want you to know that. So, and boy, I just lost what I was going to say. Well, I was going to say is that until next time, that's what I'm going to say. And until we meet again, I encourage you, as always, to go out today and every day and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.